Welcome, everyone. My name is Dina, and we'll get started in a couple of minutes. Whether you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, or Periscope, you can use the comments to say hi and let us know where you're joining us from. One note is that this broadcast is live and public, as are your comments. We love hearing from you and may display your questions and comments during the broadcast, so send them in. Welcome again to those who've just tuned in. My name is Dina Zuckerberg, Director of Family Programs at MyFace. MyFace is a leading nonprofit organization dedicated to changing the faces and transforming the lives of children and adults with craniofacial differences. For nearly 70 years, MyFace has worked with patients and families to provide comprehensive care by funding medical, dental, speech, nutrition, and psychosocial services. I am so excited tonight to introduce you to one of my favorite people, RJ Palacio. We're super excited tonight to have tonight's speaker. But first, we're also thrilled to announce that tonight's broadcast is the first of more than a dozen read-alouds and virtual family hour performances that MyFace and our amazing partners are bringing to you throughout July and August. You can RSVP to receive invites to the MyFace Virtual Summer Series at myface.org/summer series. And now, I am so excited to introduce you to one of my favorite people, RJ Palacio. When the book We Will Soon Hear Will or Wonders was published, RJ Palacio was already world famous for a #1 best-selling novel, Wonder, which has been translated into at least 55 languages and has sold over 15 million copies worldwide. The story of 10-year-old Augie Pullman, an ordinary boy with an extraordinary face, has won many awards. Wonder's message of kindness and tolerance inspired the Choose Kind movement, which has been adopted by schools and classrooms around the world. At MyFace, we have created a curriculum guide around the book Wonder, and I have visited over 125 schools around the country and even to Canada to speak about the book, my own experience of growing up with a craniofacial difference, about choosing kind and being an upstander, not just a bystander. Wonder was also adapted into a movie, which if you've not seen it, I highly recommend it, and now is a great time to watch it as a family when we are all spending much more time at home. Where All Wonders, which is based on the themes of her novel, represents RJ's dream to write and illustrate her own picture book. The book holds a special place in my heart, and you will soon hear why. Before we dive in, thank you, RJ, for doing this. And can you tell us how Augie came to be and why you wanted to share his story with the world?
Oh, well, thank you so much, Dina. First, I just want to say how thrilled I am to be here and to have been invited by you all to, to be part of this. It's a really special event, and I'm so honored to be participating. And I just love you guys, as you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've told the story so many times. Sometimes I think I'm boring people, but basically, one day I was with my 2 young children, and we saw a little girl who had a very significant craniofacial difference, and I guess it just got me thinking about what it must be like, and how it would be if the world could look at everyone from a vantage point of kindness first. And I literally started writing Wonder that night, not knowing a lot about the world of craniofacial differences or whatever, but I got up to speed, and I just wrote Wonder from the Heart. It's a book that I did not think would sell beyond a few copies here and there. Maybe if I was lucky, my friends and family. But the fact that the craniofacial community sort of really took it and ran with it, and have seen in Augie Pullman a hero to root for, and that the rest of the world has seen in Augie Pullman a hero that they can root for too, and all of that comes with it. I've just been thrilled and amazed by everything. And so We're All Wonders is a picture book kind of version, a simplified picture book version of the themes of kindness that we see in Wonder.
Thank you. It's definitely one of my favorite books.
I think I know why.
Exactly.
Can we share? Can we share the fact that it's dedicated to Dina Zuckerberg and the MyFace family? You are my heroes.
Thank you. I know. I remember when I was in the airport coming home and I saw your post about it. I was so excited. I was squealing, and everybody was like, "What's going on?" So we are really excited to have you read We're All Wonders. And before RJ begins reading, a reminder that we'll have a Q&A with RJ afterwards. So do share your questions in the comments and stick around. And now, let's all go on an adventure with Augie and his beloved dog, Daisy. The stage is yours. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dina. And this is going to be a little tricky kind of navigating this. So I'm trying to, okay, there's the camera. It'll take me a few seconds to figure this out. It's all kind of backwards. Anyway, so this is the title page, We're All Wonders, written and illustrated by me. And here again is the dedication page for Nathaniel Newman, a true wonder, and his wonder of a family, Magda, Russell, and Jake. For Dina Zuckerberg and the MyFace family, you are my heroes. And I really mean that. Let's see. All right. There we go. You know what? Here we go. Sorry, this is a little trickier than I thought it would be. Should have practiced. There we go. Okay, I'm going to do it that way. Wow, this is kind of hard. All right, here we go. All right. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this right. So, all right. I know I'm not an ordinary kid. Sure, I do ordinary things. I ride a bike. I eat ice cream. I play ball. I just don't look ordinary. I don't look like other kids. My mom says I'm unique. She says I'm a wonder. My dog Daisy agrees. But some people don't see that I'm a wonder. All they see is how different I look. Sometimes they stare at me. They point or laugh. They even say mean things behind my back. But I can hear them. It hurts my feelings. It hurts Daisy's feelings too. When that happens, I put on my helmet. I put Daisy's helmet on too. And then we blast off. Up, 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 up through the clouds. Across the galaxy. All the way to Pluto. We say hello to old friends. From far away, the Earth looks so small. I can't see any people, but I know they're there. Billions of people. People of all different colors. People who walk and talk differently. People who look different, like me. The Earth is big enough for all kinds of people. I know I can't change the way I look. But maybe, just maybe, people can change the way they see me. And if they do, they'll see that I'm a wonder. And they'll see that they're wonders too. We're all wonders. And the moral of the story is, look with kindness, and you will always find wonder. The end. And that is all.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much. That was wonderful. Thank you. So if anyone has any questions, we'd love to hear what you thought. Let Ajay know what you love most about this book in the comments. And if you haven't already, submit your questions now and we'll share them on air. So someone saying the world is big enough for all kinds of people and small enough to make big improvements. What a great thought. I thought if you could just share a little bit about how you did the beautiful illustrations in your book.
Well, you know, before I wrote Wonder, before I became a published author, even though I've been writing my whole life, I was a graphic designer and I actually studied illustration at Parsons School of Design. So my background is in art and graphic design. So I, when I decided to do this picture book, it was sort of a return to my roots And I decided to do it in the style of the book cover for Wonder. Very simple line art. I had an idea for, I wanted to be able to portray New York City as kind of the backdrop, and use a lot of imagery from and around New York City, like the water towers in New York, which I've always been fascinated by, that kind of look like rocket ships if you look at them, so that's how this story evolved. I wanted to be able to do a picture book that would speak to the basic story of Wonder, which is about feeling different and then being accepted. And also, Wonder is also about Augie Pullman's journey toward finding, he's a wonder not because of all the things he goes through or the way he looks. He's a wonder because he really, by the end of the book, has come to terms with who he is, and he's ready to move forward, so that, I think, is really the reason that Augie is so relatable to so many people. I mean, he's going on a hero's journey, the way all of us do. So in this picture book, I just wanted to speak to those themes, but of course on a level that younger kids would be able to understand, which is about accepting themselves, about loving themselves, and it's about finding the wonder inside of them.
That's great. Somebody wants to know, what's the best part about helping others? Or what do you think is the best part about helping others?
I guess the best part is knowing that in a way, we just have we have just one time on this world, one time on this earth, and it's nice to know that we've spent that time doing something good and doing something worthwhile, and that will hopefully outlast us. And doing good things for others is a good way to sort of know that's going to happen. That you'll be remembered.
I couldn't agree more. I know this is a question sometimes people want to know about the dog. People always want to know about the dog and he exists, and tell us a little bit about that. What the dog is.
Yeah, Daisy the dog is very popular, and so I am not going to spoil it for anyone who has not read Wonder about Daisy's journey. But I definitely wanted Daisy to make an appearance in World Wonders, and Daisy is Augie's best friend. Daisy loves Augie unconditionally and certainly doesn't see any difference in him than anybody else. I mean, to him, all humans kind of look alike. So, to her, I should say. And Daisy's a really special friend that goes with Augie on all his adventures.
And did you grow up having dogs in your world?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I had a bunch of dogs, and I have 2 dogs. Oh, we put the dogs away so that they wouldn't they wouldn't bother us during this presentation. But I have 2 dogs, and in fact, one of the dogs is named Bear. And for those of you who've read Wonder, you'll remember that there's a scene when the Pullman family gets a brand new dog, a little puppy named Bear. And I wrote that scene literally the same weekend that my family adopted a little puppy named Bear.
Oh, wow. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up having dogs too.
I love dogs.
Yeah. Another question is, what advice can you give parents in helping a child understand the best way to approach someone who is different? And this comes from Stephanie.
That's a great question, because one of the reasons I was motivated to write Wonder is because of my initial inept mom moment when that exact thing happened to me with this little girl who had a very significant craniofacial difference. At the time, my younger son was 3 years old, and he responded with he got a little. He wasn't expecting to see her, and he got a little afraid. And in my haste to not have the little girl see my son's reaction, I left the scene very quickly and rather awkwardly. And again, I was trying to spare the little girl's feelings. But I realized afterwards that from her point of view, if she even realized what was happening, she might have, and she might not have, it might have looked like I was leaving the scene to, you know, for my son's sake. And it really wasn't. But afterwards, I really, really felt terrible because I realized that what I should have done and what, you know, what hadn't occurred to me at the time, because life and motherhood doesn't come with an instruction manual, is that I should have just, you know, used it as a teaching moment and started talking to the little girl and shown my son that, you know, hey, there's nothing, you know, she's normal. There's nothing here. There's nothing to be afraid of here. And asked her about her ice cream and you know, where she goes to school, and just made a conversation, and shown my son by my example that there was really nothing there. So I would say that is the best advice, and that's what I've been told over and over again, now having become part of the community, is just to, you know, kids have a natural curiosity about everything. And I think as parents, the best we can do is just be really, really honest. Don't let your kids stare. Don't let your kids point. Just smile. Say hello. Yeah, and I think that is, you know, be friendly, be kind. You know, it's all about choosing kindness always.
Yeah,
what do you think? What is your reply to that?
Yes, I agree. I think as somebody who grew up not necessarily wanting to talk about my difference, because I was born with craniofacial difference, as I got older, I realized that I think it's better to share and let people know. It's basically when my niece was born 23 years ago, and she would try to tell me a secret on the wrong side because I couldn't hear on my right side, and I wore a hearing aid on my left, and she would come over and tell me a secret, and I'd have to tell her the other side. And I realized the more I talked about it, the more it became no big deal. And my nieces and nephews grew up just knowing that I couldn't see out of one eye and I couldn't hear out of one ear, and I wore a hearing aid in the other, and all the different things. And so they became, I think, more aware, but also much more empathetic, empathic towards others, and compassionate. And as I have gotten older and I've gone into schools, I realize the more honest I am about everything, and the more they're curious kids. And I think a lot of what they worry about is when they have fears because they don't understand something. And so
exactly,
let them understand it, makes it so much easier. I also remember one of my favorite moments in going into a school was when I shared that I couldn't hear out of one side and I wore hearing aid on the other. And this boy in one classroom, he got so excited because he actually had double hearing aids. And he said he never met anybody who had hearing aids like me. And he was so excited. And it was actually, I guess, when We're All Wonders had just come out. Yeah. And he asked afterwards if he could read it to his classmates. And so he did, because I guess they had a break. And they were all surrounding him. And he was so excited and so proud. It was really an amazing moment. And so,
oh, that sounds amazing. Yeah, wow.
I always remember incredible. That. If anybody has any additional questions or comments, now is a good time to ask. And you can ask even about We're All Wonders or Wonder, about maybe you can talk a little bit about, did you do a lot of research for when you were writing the books from the craniofacial community? Did you speak to people in the craniofacial community?
I actually did not. I was really afraid. I mean, I had written out sort of the bare bones of Wonder after doing a lot of online research and a lot of all of that. And then I did eventually go to the NYU, the Langone Center, and that's where I first met Pat Shabaro. And you know, but I did not want to actually really speak with people directly about it, because I was so afraid that I would sort of inadvertently turn my story into their story, just because I knew that I would become so impressionable. And as a matter of fact, what was really funny, the first time I met the Newmans, Magda and Russell, we had lunch, and they were telling me all about Nathaniel. I hadn't met Nathaniel yet, who, I dedicated this book to them as well. And we were going over, and they basically said, when they read Wonder, I mean, there's so many similarities between Nathaniel and Augie Pullman. I mean, Nathaniel really was exactly what I was picturing Augie Pullman to look like. He was about the same age. In the book, I have Augie as having had 26 surgeries. It turns out Nathaniel had 27. There were just so many similarities. Even the birth scene, Magda told me, it was very, very similar. And I was actually so glad that I hadn't talked to them before writing Wonder, because nobody would believe that I just kind of like wrote it. I mean, they would have thought that it was a story, and it was just kind of funny. But no, so I did a lot of research afterwards to make sure that I had things right, especially the technical stuff and the medical stuff and things like that. And then I did have the book vetted, but that was sort of after the first draft.
I must say, when I read Wonder, the first book, it resonated so much for me. Even I remember reading the first page, and I think you talk about having a magic lantern or something, or making a wish. I remember when I was very young, sometimes wishing on my birthday that I could look like the other kids, so it would be easier. And I remember even from that first page how much it resonated to me. So it was the first book. And I must say that I think for many of our kids in the craniofacial community, it really opened up the ability for them to have conversations with their friends that they may not have been able to have until Wonder came out. And even to be able to share that book with their classmates or their friends, and to be able to open up that conversation, I think it's been pretty amazing. And for them to become even little celebrities in some ways for themselves, because they could have that, they could share their own stories.
Yeah, I've had a bunch of kids come up to me and say that now they kind of feel like rock stars, because kids are like, hey, you're kind of like Augie Pullman, so so that's very special for me. Thank you.
And in terms of, just briefly, last question, did the movie, just tell us a little bit about the movie and about what that was like. And I must say that I loved the movie, and I was one of the privileged few that got to see it before it came out. And we did a whole thing with My Face, which was amazing. And I think a lot of people cried in that movie. And even my dad cried in that movie.
Yeah, I actually really liked the movie too. And I was very nervous that they wouldn't get it right. You hear stories about a lot of unhappy authors, but everyone involved in the movie, from the producers at the very outset to every single person in the cast, especially Jacob Tremblay, who felt keenly for such a young boy the weight of the responsibility to accurately portray, Augie Pullman and his journey. I know that Jacob had actually a binder full. Jacob spent time at a children's hospital in, I believe, Ontario or Toronto, dedicated to craniofacial surgeries, and he spoke to a lot of kids, and he had them write him letters, which he collected in this journal kind of binder. And whenever he needed to, as he was filming, he would refer to this binder and read these letters about what it was like for them growing up, or some moments that were really hard for them, and he would read those and just feel get really, really in character and feel really, really inspired. So it was really important to all of us to try to get that right. The fact that we got the, that you guys loved it, that my face loved it, that meant more to us. And I know that for a fact than anybody else's approval. We didn't, forget Rotten Tomatoes. We had my face. So that's what it was all about. Yeah.
You certainly, RJ, you've certainly made a difference in this world, which will surely last for many generations. So thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And we really, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we can't thank you enough for joining us. And please, everyone, share your thanks with RJ too. And if you don't already own it, World Wonders or Wonder, you can find it or request World Wonders from your local bookstore or Amazon.com. We hope to see you at our next read aloud of Simon and the Buddy Branch by author Patricia Ann Simon on Tuesday, July 21st. Don't forget to RSVP at myface.org/summer series to get emails and reminders about all this summer's exciting events. And thank you again so much, RJ. You are one of the people that I so admire in this world. For everything
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Dina. Thank you to everybody, and stay safe and stay healthy, wear masks, socially distance, and we'll get through this together, everybody.
Thank you. And thank you, guys. Everybody have a really good evening and stay safe.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.